from the American Academy of Pediatrics.
I did not grow up celebrating Halloween, mainly because I didn't grow up in the US. But now that I have a little one, living it through his little eyes is so much fun. I've learned, though, that in order to relax and have a fun night, a little preparation, especially when it comes to safety and setting expectations, can go a long way.
I think the sweetest treat is the one that's safe, so that's why we want to inspect before they munch. You can remove those allergens, give that candy away, send it to work, give it to a friend, and keep it away from your child so that they can have the food that is safe for them.
Welcome to Healthy Children, the podcast for parents from the American Academy of Pediatrics. I'm Dr. Edith Bracho-Sanchez. I am a pediatrician and a mama figuring it out. This is a judgment-free space where all questions are good questions and the answers will hopefully be even better. Let's get started. Today, I have with me Dr. Hailey Nelson, who is a pediatrician at Valley Children's Healthcare, and we're talking all about Halloween. Hailey, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
We're so excited to have you, and I want to start by asking you about your own Halloween traditions. What do you usually have going on with your kiddos?
I love Halloween and just that time to use our imaginations, the dress up. I think it's all fun. I am not a spooky person. I don't like the scary factor. So I'm in it for kind of that creativity. But one of the important things that my family does is that we actually do flu before boo. So everyone gets our flu shots so that we can stay healthy this winter and be ready for the holiday.
Such a pediatrician answer, but it is so important. I just went this morning. We were talking about it right before we came on the air. Flu before boo is a big deal in pediatrician households. I love it.
It is. And in my clinic, my patients hear that message from me as I'm getting ready for those flu shots to come in, but they are in stock and we are giving them out every day. So if you haven't seen your pediatrician yet, this is a good time to give them a call.
It is go time. Now, in terms of Halloween itself, thinking about the night, hopefully you've gotten your flu shot a few weeks before so you are protected. But when we think about the night itself, Hailey, what are your biggest safety concerns or considerations, I should say?
One of the biggest things with Halloween is pedestrian safety because we're out and we're trick-or-treating. So we really need to talk about how we do that safely so that everyone comes home and it's all treats and no tricks.
I love that. Let's dive into that. So what skills should we be teaching our kids when it comes to pedestrian safety and staying safe when they're crossing streets and trick-or-treating?
One of the big things is you want to cross at the crosswalk, so we don't want kids darting out between cars. I know it's exciting and there might be a house across the street that has cool decorations, and so there's that impulse to want to get right over there, but you want to wait. You want to stay on the sidewalk, get to that crosswalk, and so when we get to that crosswalk, we're going to look left, right, and left again before we cross. One thing I like to say to my kids is that zombies walk slow, but trick-or-treaters walk smart.
I love that. And can I tell you, so my 3, almost 4-year-old goes to school in New York City where they're, they spend a lot of time inside. And when I pick him up, he's so excited to get out and run, Hailey. And we've really had to work on staying on the sidewalk, stopping at the corner. And it's really a skill. It is something that comes with practice and with a lot of very explicit explaining, especially for little ones. So I love, love, love that you're bringing that in. Now, any specific tips for costumes or gear that can make kids more visible to drivers as it starts to get darker?
Yeah, so you want to make sure you have things like glow sticks or reflective tape, bring in your flashlights. But when you think about that costume itself, you want it to fit and to be comfortable because we're going to be moving around. So not having it be a tripping hazard, things that are too long that we might fall over. So making sure that you've got that fit check and that you're ready to go and then that you're visible. So the best costume is one that's seen so that you can be out having fun.
Yes. And I wonder if you do this, but we make a point of trying on the costumes beforehand just to make sure, that fit check, right, is working before the actual day that we're going trick-or-treating, because the last thing I want is a costume that doesn't fit well, something that's dangerous. Is that something you do as well?
Oh, totally. I remember one year, though, I bought my son's costume too early and I was so excited and he was going to be adorable and we had tried it on and then I put it in the closet. I'm like, yeah, I'm ahead of the game this year. And by the time we got it out, it didn't actually fit. So planning and trying it on kind of that week before so that you know it, just in case your child's gone through a growth spurt. The other thing about costumes is thinking about what's on their face. So I really don't like masks, anything that's going to block your visibility so that you can see well and be seen. So thinking about face paint or other ways that we make sure that you have great vision when you're out at night, especially as it's getting darker.
So important. Hailey, let's talk about supervision. I personally, and I've talked about this on the show, this is not going to be news to our audience that has been following for some time. I'm a nervous mama. I always have eyes on my kiddo, and we go to designated streets that have been closed for trick-or-treating, but I know that not every neighborhood is the same. So talk to us about things we need to consider when it comes to supervision.
Yeah, I hear you as a nervous mama. I have 3 kids, and so it's been hard to gradually let go as they get bigger and allow a little more distance to let them have that independence. So growing with your child as it's developmentally appropriate, even as it strikes some anxiety in your soul, allowing them some of that independence can go a long way. And so it's really pausing and saying, it is okay, and giving them a little more space because, man, they come back and they're so proud. And so when my kids were little, I was holding their hand. I was the one going up to the door with them, practicing what they were going to say, making sure they were saying thank you. And then as they've gotten bigger, I'm that mom that gets to stand on the sidewalk, watch them walk up. They know what to do. They have their manners, and then they come back to me. And so it's kind of fun to see them grow and how excited they get as they have that independence too.
Oh, I can't wait. I wonder if this year we're going to be at that stage. I think we might be at that stage this year. We'll see how it goes. Hailey, for teens, though, who may be out without parents, what should they know? How do we prepare them? Do we talk to them still about the same pedestrian safety? Do we talk to them about using phones, staying with friends, staying in groups? What do we need to be talking to them about?
So for our teens, I want you to have a plan of where you're walking. So we're going to have some boundaries for where you're allowed to go, how far you're going to go. You're going to have a phone with you so that we can also contact each other, and then a meetup time of when we come back. Now with that phone, we do have to talk about distracted walking. When we get to that crosswalk, when it is time to cross the street, that phone is down, your eyes are up, and you're going to do the same thing that we're talking about with the little kids of looking left, right, and then left again. So distracted walking is a thing just as much as distracted driving. And if everyone is paying attention, we all get home safely.
Yeah, I love that. And then talk to us about staying with a group. Like, what should we, and I don't know, should we coordinate with other parents as the kids get older? Like, what happens? Tell me, you can tell that I'm a mom to, a very small child still, but how do you counsel your families in terms of groups, and especially for teens?
I mean, honestly, the group setting is more fun as a parent when you have little ones. It gives you another adult set of eyes. So you're doing that head count and making sure that we have 2 dinosaurs or whatever else everyone's dressed up as we're doing that head count and then going to the next house. And then with our teens too, like there's safety in numbers. So it also makes it more fun and enjoyable as we're checking out those decorations, as we're scoping out what candy we might be getting in our buckets. But wait till we get home to eat it because we want to inspect it first.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk about food allergies, Hailey, because they are a big worry for many families. What are some steps that parents can take to keep trick-or-treating safe for kids with allergies?
Well, I think the sweetest treat is the one that's safe. So that's why we want to inspect before they munch. You can remove those allergens, give that candy away, send it to work, give it to a friend, and keep it away from your child so that they can have the food that is safe for them. But also watching out for houses that might have a teal pumpkin. So this teal pumpkin project, and I have mine here, and it'll go on our porch for Halloween night.
Yay!
So that you let families know, like, hey, we're a safe house. We have things other than food to be able to give to kids, because it's not just about candy. Like, there's other fun things that we can pass out and still have an enjoyable night.
Tell us what those things are, Hailey. What are some non-treats we can hand out?
I mean, it's any of those little goodies that you might get at a birthday party sort of thing. So from stickers to pencils to plastic little toys. One of the best Halloweens, my son went up to a house and they actually asked him, they're like, do you want candy or would you like a rubber lizard? And he was all in for this rubber lizard and like kept it as a little pet. He was so excited. But then we proceeded to go to other houses and then he'd walk up and they'd offer him candy and he's like, do you have any lizards?
Oh, buddy. That is adorable. He was like, where's the lizard? I love that. So let's talk a little bit about what happens when kids come home. Because the past 2 years I've experienced this, right? Where we come home with this like absurd amount of candy. And I think, your little people look at that and they're like, yes, right? But we do need to set some limits. So what is the best way to set some of those limits without taking the fun out of it, Hailey?
So one of my parenting hacks is that before we go out to trick or treat, I make sure we have a really good dinner. So I'm going to fill your belly with some healthy food so that we're not hangry by the end of the night and then extra hungry and wanting to overeat our candy. So I make sure that I get like their vegetables in with their dinner sort of thing. So I've covered my bases as a mom. And then when we get home, we can go through that candy. We can decide an appropriate amount that we eat and then set the rest aside.
I love that. I've also heard, I'm trying to remember what it's called now, on social media, it circulated the past couple of years, something called
the Switch Witch.
Switch Witch, yes.
Okay, she visits our house. So the Switch Witch happens to be best friends with the Tooth Fairy. And what happens is you then eat your candy that night, but then you leave the rest of the candy out. So you leave this pile for the Switch Witch. And in the morning when you come down, she's collected the candy and you have a toy or a prize or something waiting for you. My children absolutely love this. And then the secret thing is that my nurses at work love it too, because all of my Halloween candy goes to feed my nurses.
That is the final destination for the Switch Witch. I love that. Hailey, so far we've been talking about safety and things that we do as parents, right? All of those good precautions. But I also wonder, what can neighborhoods do so that we collectively keep trick-or-treating safe and fun for everyone?
Yeah, I love that you have neighborhoods that close themselves off from cars. That sounds amazing. Our neighborhood doesn't do that, but I do know who is kind of in for the holiday in terms of decorating and having their porch lights on. So talking to our children too about which houses we approach. If the lights are on, if they have decorations, that's a house we can go to. If their lights are off and you can tell nope, we're not participating, then we just pass on by. So really putting the signal out if you are a household that we can engage with, or if you're a house that, this isn't for you. And that's okay too. I get that Halloween's not everyone's holiday. So being able to make it clear if you are someone who wants to engage in a little bit of fun.
Yeah. And hopefully, of course, everyone's driving super slow, super careful, watching out for little people on Halloween. I mean, every day, but especially on Halloween. Now, Hailey, we do like to end our show with what we call a parenting prescription. So if you could give parents just one key takeaway for a fun and safe Halloween, what would it be?
So Halloween should be full of magic and make-believe, but not mishaps. A little preparation goes a long way to have all treats and no tricks.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Hailey Nelson, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us at home. If you like the Healthy Children podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app and help us spread the word. Follow Healthy Children on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at Healthy Children AAP, and be sure to visit healthychildren.org, the parenting website of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Healthy Children is a production of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Our creative team includes
Laura Alessio,
Catherine Beard,
Garrett Brown,
Zach Christman,
Ann Johnsos, Kathy Jewell,
Claire Keating,
Doug Nagel,
Jackie Ortega,
Susan Stevens Martin,
Mary Claire Walsh,
Hannah Weston.
And our theme music was composed by Doug Nagel. We'll be back next week. I'm Dr. Edith Bracho-Sanchez. Thanks for listening.